Welcome to my channel. This is Otota Sahara is the channel, and thank you very much for coming to this channel. Today we are going to share about how to find cheaper property to buy. It could be in Africa, in Caribbean, wherever, because whatever I'm going to tell you, you can apply it even in many countries around the world, and it applies. The first one is you make sure you target buying properties that are unfinished. Unfinished means roofed with no doors, no windows, not tiled. Perhaps people are not even staying there. And the reason is that those shell houses, we call them here shell houses, those shell houses, the way they are, the owners could have injected a lot of capital there, and therefore they are thinking of perhaps could be struggling with the bank loan. Number one. Number two, the same person perhaps could be, maybe he just started with that project initially and he has realized that his income has improved, so he needs to perhaps sell it off and top up with a bank loan or whichever money he has to buy a better place. In some situations, some people are even frustrated a bit because of the way the workers built the house. So when you are buying such property, the first thing you need to do, you need to look for a structural engineer who will advise you whether the building is fit for purpose for which you want it. And at the same time, you make sure you look at the plan of that house. Now, in the same vein, you can target properties that are not new, but they need renovations, which you can renovate, give them a facelift, and then if you want to sell or if you want to use them for whatever purpose you want to use them. But when you are looking for those properties, the first thing you should do is to make sure you go for location, depending on what you want it for, whether residential or commercial. You go for location. Number two, it should be free from noise pollution. Noise pollution that is perhaps from bars or some churches. Some evangelical churches make noise, or from noise of the factory, etc. At the same time, you make sure that the property is not near slum, because when the property is near slum, the resale value goes down. Another reason, you make sure that the property is not near these high voltage power lines, because some clients don't want to buy properties that are next to the high voltage power lines. Another thing also, you just make sure that the same property which you are targeting there are no many upgrades. For example, door change, room change, door improvised, room improvised, kitchen improvised. Maybe some wall was a wall, perhaps he made created another door here, another door there, because that one changes the design. And most of those creations they do, they don't go back to get approvals from the physical planning authority. Now the second way of getting cheaper property is you set your budget or price. You say, I'm going to buy property at this much. But before you do that, make sure you go to the market, you do a research, you find out how much the market price is. Then, assuming the market price is 100 million, you say, for me, I'll buy property at 70 million. That is 30% discount. You give yourself 30% discount. Then you tell your agent, me, I want a property of this much. It is, in practice, it's done mostly by people who are buying properties for commercial purposes. For example, somebody wants a building and then he wants to be getting rent from it, and then he tells you, me, I need a building that makes, let's say, 8.5 million a month, and I want it at 850 million. Most times that's what sometimes people say, I want a property, let's say, that makes 10 million and I want it at 1 billion, when they want a affordable properties. Now, besides that, there is a number three. Number three is you can buy properties that are not publicly listed for sale. And I've said this before. A property that is publicly listed for sale means the owner has a budget, perhaps for medical, for perhaps they want to capitalize their business, they want to finish another project elsewhere, or maybe they want it for school fees or for other engagements. Now, in that case, they have a budget, but this person whom you stumble upon whose property is not on the market for sale, he has no budget. Because why would you budget on something for money you're not expecting? So you stumble upon him, tell him, look, me, I have liked your place and I will be interested to know if you can make an offer. Let them tell you they will give you an offer or not. But in practice for us, we avoid going for the main people and go to the people who can influence those decisions. They are the ones you first go and persuade, talk to, give them a win-win, and then we request them to go and persuade the ones whom we feel will be hard to agree to that decision. Then there is the fourth one is we target malalo. In Uganda here we call malalo cemetery. Now, why is a cemetery cheaper properties to buy? In a city develops in a decentralized way. As it develops in a decentralized way, it is encroaching into areas that were homes, that were perhaps schools, that were entertainment centers, and at the same time where they were even burying people, because it decentralizes this way. Now, in those areas, you will find where there was a football pitch, it was easy decision to sell. Where there was a bar, it was an easy decision to sell. But where there are hard decision to sell is where there was a cemetery, where we say our ancestors are. Now, those places are here. Some people don't buy them because of cultural things, but they are business people who are shrewd and they are buying them. They are buying such places because they know they are cheaper places. First of all, they give you a deposit and you talk to your family. After talking to your family, they give you a deposit and you exhume the body. The moment you take the body, they give you the balance. And then they construct an apartment there, they put in tenants, and no one will ever know that this place there was ever any cemetery here. Then there is the fifth one. The fifth one is barter trade. You can buy property cheaply using what I call barter trade. Barter trade is where you trade property for animals. It can be camels, it can be cows, and it's very common in Uganda. It's very common in Teso areas of Bukedia, Katakwi, Kumi, where people can tell you, okay, for me, I'm not interested in cash, I'm interested in cows. You give me cows, I give you land, or you give me cash and cows, then I give you land, depending on how they are valued. But most of the reason why it makes those affordable is because, number one, they don't do evaluation. Number two, they don't follow you to go and see where you buy the cows from. All they tell you is, how I need the cows you're going to buy, I need the ones perhaps for cultivation, and then I need others for the ones that can be giving me milk. Then the sixth one are swamps. Why are swamps cheaper? Because from the tarmac road, people want commercial property. Next to the commercial property is residential property. Then swamps are the last. Now, for swamps who are last, they get fewer inquiries as compared to the residential properties and the commercial properties. So it is a question of demand and supply. Higher inquiries on commercial property translates to higher demand. Then the second higher demand on residential property translates to second higher demand. Lower higher demand for swamps. But for swamps, if you are going to do a project that will fundamentally impact on the environment, you make sure you get an environmental impact assessment from whichever environmental authority in your home country. But most times, if you are not going to do an environmentally impactful project, you are usually allowed to do. Like for people who are doing rural business, then you can do your projects there, and then when you get more capital reserves, you can use those capital reserves to buy this other residential area perhaps, or the commercial area that you may be interested in. Then the seventh one are banks. Now it's a known practice that people go for banks, and the reason being is that banks are presumed to have properties that are cheaper. But banks go do evaluation before they give you a loan. Then there is the first sale value. So there is the valuation from the valuation report, then the first sale value. Then banks, what they do, when they are about to sell your property, they have to advertise. Now, when banks advertise, not many people will even know the advert came out, because some people don't even read newspapers. For our case here, 80% of the people are in the informal economy, so they may not even see the advert. So because of that, the demand that responds to the demand that responds, the offers that respond even to those adverts are lower than if it was this side on the open market. And number two, banks have specific time they need to realize their money. Not like a case where you can say, okay, the market is down. For your own property, you can say the market is down, I'm not going to sell the property at this time, I'll wait when the market is up. When the demand has gone up, that's when I sell. And banks don't have that leverage. That is why the properties for banks are slightly lower and affordable. Thank you very much for watching this, and I request you subscribe to this channel. Thank you.